Hi, I'm here with ShopSabre CNC representative Brandon Bombardo to do a little question and answer about the ShopSabre IS Series. First off, Brandon, what specific IS Series machine do we have here with us today, and what options are equipped with it?
Yeah, thanks. This is the IS 612. It's available in our 6x12 cutting area. We also offer it in a 5x10 and a 4x8. That would be the IS 408 and the IS 510. But again, the one in front of us today would be the IS 612. It's equipped with a manual change, call it HSD spindle. It's a 5 horsepower. It also has the vision system camera, which you can see mounted next to the spindle there. That system actually allows you to use registration points that are printed from a flatbed printer. We also have a vacuum system on this machine. You can actually see the valves up front here that control those. And then all of the IS series comes standard with a lot of features which we'll go through today. That being the dual ball screw drives, the AC servo motors. That is one huge advantage this machine will have over most comparable models. The dual ball screws allows you the ability to have better accuracy for a life of machine while improving your cut forces. This is the most affordable dual ball screw machine that's available on the market at this price point. The servo motors themselves are the largest servo motors of any comparably priced machine as well. They're using a dual drive motor on each side, 1 kilowatt Mitsubishi servo motor. So it's a very well-known company. Obviously Mitsubishi Electronics are found in a lot of your household components, but we use those because of the accuracy and because of the dependability of that company. The bearing system that we use are a 25mm linear guide rail. They use 4 sets of bearings. As far as what I mean by that is there's 2 bearing sets on the top, 2 on the bottom, giving you a better cut force, but then there are also multiple bearings on that gantry. There's actually 4 bearings that drive just that gantry as far as along this linear guided way. We also have, again, the ball screw drive on each side, so giving you 2 more contact points, extending the impact point, basically allowing you to do a lot heavier cutting, allows the machine to be a lot more accurate than what you would find from your typical rack and pinion machine. And you know, obviously that's just one of the many advantages that ball screw brings to the market. The oversized gantry you see here is also standard. You can see how large those gantries are. They obviously stand pretty tall. They're pretty heavy duty. We actually mill all of the surfaces down on a precision milling machine to assure you're getting the best accuracy, giving the best truing of the machine. And the machine also here comes standard with a tool measure switch, which you can see on the other side of the machine here. I'm going to walk over there quick. This tool measure switch, this will actually do a auto tool compensation for you. So when you switch bits, regardless if you're using a tool changer or a manual change like you see here, it will actually change your compensation in the software here, so that way when you set your 0 point to begin, you aren't losing your 0 point by changing tooling out, or if you break a bit along the way. It's going to allow you to hold a better accuracy throughout the machine. So that's just a few of the features, I guess, that come with the machine. I'm sure you got more questions that you'd like to get into, though.
You're right, Brandon. I do have some more questions for you. First one that comes to mind is, when comparing the ShopSabre system to other comparably priced machines, what would be the advantages of your equipment?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I'm glad you asked me, because there are a lot of machines to choose from out there. It's not always easy to see through what the differences are, so I appreciate the opportunity to kind of show you. As I mentioned earlier, the ball screw drives, huge advantage. There's no other machine in this price point that actually offers a full ball screw machine. You'll see on every machine, everybody's running ball screws typically on those Z-axes because you're going to see the accuracy there. You're going to notice when the Z-axis isn't going to the right depth in items like that. But, on the long axis here and the wide axis, you don't notice it as much right away. It takes years before it develops itself into an issue because those gears work great to begin with. Rack and pinion machines are fantastic, for a lot of reasons, but for a wear standpoint, they do wear out quicker than a ball screw. And that's where this machine really is going to, deliver. This machine itself, being ball screw on all the axes, has ball bearings, so the machine itself is going to be a longer life expectancy, but also the accuracy. They don't give, basically. They start off with a 1,000th repeatability, but they hold that tolerance a lot longer than what you'll see from an average gear. As a gear wears down over time, you're going to run into some accuracy issues, and you're going to have some squaring issues just from side to side of the machine, front to back, depending where you work on your machine. Obviously, you do more work in this area, you wear this part of the drive system out. You do more in the rear of the machine, you're going to wear that area out. But with a ball screw, it's ball bearings the whole way. You're not worrying about wearing gears out. It's a better lubricated system, it's a more accurate system, and then that's just a portion of what makes this machine better. I guess the next step that makes this machine better is you go one step further, again, as I mentioned earlier, the size. You can look at this machine and it is massive. I mean, this machine, compared to anything in this comparable price range, it's going to be this is a 4,000 pound machine sitting here. This thing is going to give you the stability you need in your cutting. The other thing that this machine brings to the table for you, again, linear guide rails. We're not using any V-guide rollers. We're not using any slides, anything like that. You'll actually see that some companies will never even tell you, but on that Z-axis, those are linear guide rails. A lot of people use a slide system. You'll be really surprised how many machines do that. You'll be surprised how many machines put an aluminum gantry here. We don't do any of that stuff. It's steel all the way around. The machine's welded. The machine is precision ground. Once again, I don't know if you can see real nice here, but the actual rails where they're mounted to, they're ground down. The machine is actually ground flat, so when you put these rails on it, it is a true surface there. That's going to give you a huge advantage when you're cutting your cabinets, or you're cutting your signs, or things like that. The other advantage, as I mentioned earlier, with the weight is your cut forces. Your cut forces are going to be superb with this machine. And then with that being said, it's an American-made machine. That is the number one thing I can't point out enough for you is you're buying something from an American company here. You're putting the money that you earn every day back into the American economy. You're doing something with an American machine that you can depend on. You're building an American product with an American product. Rather than sending your money to a Chinese imported machine. A lot of people build machines here in the United States and call them, American made, but they're bringing their frames in from China, or they're bringing the steel in from, other countries, and they're having pre-work done, and they're just putting them together. We don't do that. You can look around the shop here, we're building frames, we're cutting the steel here, painting them, welding them. We do everything in-house because we truly believe if we're going to put our name on this, it better have the quality that we expect.
You mentioned the longer life expectancy of a ball screw driven system. What type of maintenance is going to be required of me to maintain those tolerances for a long period of time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maintenance is the number one most important thing in anything you own. If you don't maintain them, no matter what you buy, it's never going to run right. These machines do require a little maintenance, just like any CNC machine will. If somebody tells you there's no maintenance ever required, well, we won't know the answer to that question. But on these machines, they are limited maintenance. You will have to grease them. There's a grease circ on all the bearings. There's going to be a requirement about every 40 hours of running. You will need to put a little grease in those bearings. We do not use a central lubrication system on this, simply for the fact that central lubrication systems tend to fail. Over the life of the machine, you don't want to worry about is it actually being lubricated, because if you're depending on the machine to do it itself and something fails, you wear a lot of parts by just simply assuming it was done. This way it takes out the guesswork. You know it's been lubricated every 40 hours. The computer will let you know to lubricate the machine. That way you don't forget. It's going to require you to go and type your initials, say you did it. So again, if somebody else is maintaining the machine for you, you can keep record they are doing so. But then you just grease the bearings, like I said, every 40 hours. It takes about 5-10 minutes to grease the entire machine. It's going to be a standard grease, nothing special. You can get it at your local hardware store. You don't have to go buy something specific for the machine. And with that being said, that's it. I mean, these bearings don't have replacement points. These ball screws are not going to be replaced at any time. The motors are an AC digital motor, so therefore you don't have to tune them. There's no brushes in them to replace. There's nothing there to worry about. The spindles are rated to over 10,000 hours of running time. You don't got to worry about replacing parts there. So honestly, replace your bits when they get worn or when you break them. You grease the machine. That's your two major maintenance issues.
You mentioned the ball screw drive system. Could you explain why this is important for me?
Certainly. The ball screw drive system, as I touched on earlier, accuracy. It's going to be a longer life expectancy, but you'll find them in a lot of high-end mills. If you look at high-end CNC routers, a lot of times you're going to find a racket pinion as an option as the starting price. But once you start stepping up the price, you'll start to see a lot of the bigger machines are running the ball screw designs. The biggest reason a lot of people do that is for accuracy, but also it's for the maintenance of the machine. Again, there's a lot less maintenance with the ball screw. You're not going to replace them ever. You don't have a gear system that needs to be tuned. The advantage here is you're going to get added cut force because you do have a much larger contact point. You know, you're using a lot more of the machine at one time, where a gear is, you know, a lot smaller, so you got less of a contact point when you're actually cutting. Therefore, you can pick up some chatter with a rack and pinion style machine. You can also run into an issue with as those gears wear down, your certain sections of your machine will wear differently. A ball screw does not have the problem because it's a ball bearing. Ball bearings don't wear down simply as fast. They also have, obviously, no consistent stopping point. So you're stopping at a different point over and over. There's a central lubrication system. There's an actual wiper system that cleans this screw as it goes back and forth. So you're not going to worry about dust and debris getting in there. Where in the rack and pinion system, there's none of that. There's not a central lubrication system on them. There's not a skirt or anything that actually cleans them. And all the dust and debris that you're cutting ends up landing on those gears, and it wears them out over time. This system does not have any of that. You're not going to be grinding in a bunch of dust and whatnot over time. You're also going to get, because of the dual drive for one board, you're going to get all the incentives essentially that you get with rack and pinion drive. You actually end up with a speed, you end up with cutting speeds that are similar to what you would typically find from rack and pinion. Your rapid movement speeds of this machine are unheard of. It's 2,100 inches a minute. That's a ball screw machine. Most machines run rack and pinion aren't even running those kind of speeds. So you get all the speed out of this ball screw drive because of the motors and the screws that we're using, but you don't get all the wear and all the concerns. If you look at a lot of the machines that hold their value over 10 years, 15 years, you'll notice they're all typically ball screw driven. You look at high-end mills, your high-end mills and your milling centers, they're all running ball screw. I mean, it's simply, from an accuracy standpoint, it's the same reason why all Z-axes are pretty much ball screw. They add accuracy. I can't get on that enough. The accuracy, the cutting power, and just the durability of them. You don't end up replacing parts. It's really going to make your job a lot easier to do what you're doing. You're going to build cabinets, or you're going to build signs, do all that. You don't need to be a CNC mechanic as well. Let us take care of designing the machine right so you can go about your business and continue building your product without worrying, will this machine make it to the next project?
The motors you're using with this machine standard also have their advantages. Why is that?
Yeah, we briefly touched on that earlier. It's definitely something that I want to go over with you. The motors here are Mitsubishi. They're a well-known name. It's something you're going to see around your household. They're known for electronics, so you don't got to worry about the quality of those motors. A lot of times when you look at another machine on the market, you might hear the motor name, and it really doesn't strike a bell at all to you. It's not something you recognize. These motors are well known. If you say Mitsubishi, nobody can say that they don't know what they're doing. Mitsubishi's been building electronics a long time. The other thing with these motors is they are AC powered. Compared to a DC powered motor, they're more advanced. They can actually carry power, higher power levels. These motors are 1 kilowatt on each side. So total Y-axis power, you've got 2 kilowatts of power there. Most machines on the long axis are giving you somewhere between 750 to 400, somewhere in that range, depending on the size machine you're looking at. We definitely put the largest motors with this machine. The power of these are not anywhere near max load when they're running at full throttle, so you don't have to worry about wearing these motors out. The motors themselves are going to be a brushless motor, so you're not going to replace components inside the motor. You don't have to pay to have somebody come out and tune them after a set amount of time, like you would with a brushed motor. You also don't have to worry about, the accuracy of these motors giving out, because again, the power is definitely there. The motor itself is a closed loop system, so as it sends a signal back to the computer here, if you lose, positioning by, power goes out in the building, or, simply somebody shuts the machine off by hitting the off button by mistake, something silly like that, or you have to stop because you break a bit. The machine can go back to where you left off and continue without throwing away your program. So you don't end up with a project 3/4 of the way done and power goes out and now you got to start over. These motors will actually tell the computer, hey, this is where I was. Gets you back into position and you can keep going with your project without throwing things away. So the motors are very high end, Mitsubishi quality, AC, they're digital. Really, they don't get any more advanced than this.
Now I understand the controller ShopSabre uses also has advantages over the typical PC controller. Could you please explain that?
Yeah, you're correct. It actually does have many advantages. The first being that it is not a proprietary software. It is something that other softwares can write to. It's accepting a standard DXF file, so you don't have to worry about going out and getting just ShopSabre software to run these machines. If you are familiar with En-route, if you're familiar with AutoCAD, Vectric, if you use SolidWorks, You know, if you get into some specific cabinet packages like KCD, Mosaic, Planet, any one of those software packages will work with this machine. So the nice thing is, a lot of times the existing stuff you know, the knowledge you've already learned over the years, will work with this machine. You're not going to school to relearn everything you've done. If you're a person who, I've never run a CNC machine in my life, how am I going to learn this? That's where this machine is going to help you as well. A lot of times you get these standalone controllers that you have to go to school to learn them. You know, they're the matrix essentially. It's a bunch of code that you can't necessarily understand unless you have the book sitting next to you and you have plenty of time to go through it. These machines take our typical user about 2 hours to learn. They're a point and click operation. It's got a mouse, it's got a keyboard. Those two features pretty much allow you to run the entire machine. You don't ever have to type in any special codes typically to make this machine do anything. If I want to move it, the up arrow, the down arrow, the left and the right arrow, move it around the table. Page up, page down, raise my head, lower my head. So you don't got to worry about trying to remember how to do certain things. I can type in manual code if I wanted to. I can go to the G code and see G code if I really want to get into that. Most people don't ever want to see that stuff. They'd rather a machine do that on its own. That's where these machines come into play. They run a PCI controller. That controller is built into a computer system. We custom build those computers here. So where a lot of people will say, well, it runs computer, so therefore it's got to be run off Windows, and Windows is a big problem. Incorrect. We've been doing this for 15 years. We've got that stuff figured out by now. Windows does run on this machine. But the nice thing is it has nothing to do with how this machine runs. This runs off of a PCI-driven card, so all the information is run from its own microprocessor. The computer's doing its own thing while the microprocessor is running your CNC machine. That same microprocessor system is in every one of those standalone controllers you would see. We've just taken that out of there and put it into a system that everybody can run these days. The other nice feature of these machines is it's got everything labeled on here. You're not switching screens. If I want to set a 0 point, I just click on my 0 button. If I want to home the machine, I hit the home button. If I want to open a file, it's file open, select what file I want to do, hit enter, and the machine runs. It's really that simple. You don't have to be a specialist in this stuff. You don't have to go to school or a college course. We can teach you with all of our tech support and all the manuals that come along with it, plus the training that we provide standard with our machines. We'll get you up and running. But again, it takes about 2 hours to learn this portion of the machine, so it's really simple. The information is actually all delivered via a high definition cable. So as that cable sends information, it'll actually send it back to the machine, but the machine's also sending information back to the controller. They communicate all the time. They're not driven with a USB cable like you'll see in some machines. USB cables work fantastic for your phones, for your cameras, or if you're trying to send music from your computer to your phone, or like these digital pictures that you've taken, you want to put them on your computer. They work great because you're sending information in one direction. CNC machines are multiple directions, so when you're doing that, the machine's constantly telling the controller what it's doing, the controller's saying this is what you need to be doing next. The controller has the ability to keep up with itself so you don't run into hiccups where the machine's now catching the code and you're trying to figure out what's the next step of that machine. The machine will not run into those it getting lost sequences where it actually makes a random cut because the code's out of order. These machines are very advanced. The code's set to it far enough in advance where you're never going to run into the issue with accuracy in the machine cutting something that's not supposed to be cutting. These controllers are very advanced, but the technology of running it is very simple. It's point and click, and we call it the ShopSabre point and click technology.
With that being said, does a controller offer any advantages over a standalone controller not PC based?
Certainly, it really does. There's, to be honest with you, a lot of advantage to these machines. The fact that, like I said, you don't have to go to school. That is a huge advantage to you because you don't have to spend much time learning something and spending time trying to figure something else out. You're in the market to maybe build cabinets or to build signs. You're not in the market to become a CNC technician. You don't want to have to learn, a whole new feature. You can run the programs you're running. So the nice thing is you're not running proprietary software, and everything's point and click. You don't have to remember function codes. The nice thing is you can hire somebody else to run your machine if you need to, and you don't have to worry about their background and what schooling they have. You can hire pretty much anybody to run these machines because they're really, really simple to run. We have them in a lot of high schools as well. So, a lot of the students coming out of school these days will actually have the ability to run these ShopSabres. So there is an advantage to you because there's going to be more people on the streets who are going to be able to run these machines, and it's going to give you the advantage to spend less money in employees and less money in labor by running still a CNC machine. You don't have to have a machinist to run these things. They're really straightforward. The ability, like I said, to download to the machine. You can do CAD at the machine. So you can actually download your CAD set here. A lot of those standalone controllers have no ability to save at them and no ability to edit. So if you come to this machine with a file and go, I forgot to do something in that file, rather than having to take all your files back off, walk back into the office, do the drawing again, come back out, just do it here. Open the files, edit them where you need to edit them, and go to work. Same thing being said, if you need to store a file, you finish a project, you put it in a customer file right here at the machine, and that customer comes back to you in 2 weeks and says, I need 10 more of those. You open their file, do it again. You don't have to go search through your computers and try to find the records. These machines are networkable as well, so that's another advantage. A lot of those standalone controllers cannot be networked, so you can actually drop files directly off your computers around your office, or even do the files at home, the comfort of your couch. You do it on a laptop. Once you're done, you bring that file to work, and you go to work. So you don't have to worry about working off these mill centers and writing G code. It's really straightforward and simple.
The ShopSabre is American built, but are you just assembling them here, or are they truly manufactured here in the USA?
They are truly manufactured here in the USA. We're really, really proud of that. The machines are actually built 100% from the ground up here. We get the steel in on steel trucks, we cut them, we weld them, we precision mill them, we paint them, we assemble them all here in the United States. They're actually built out of Elko, Minnesota. You're more than welcome to even come by for a visit. We ask you to give us a call, schedule that visit. We'll be glad to show you how these machines are built, because yeah, there are a lot of machines that they come in pre-fabbed already, and essentially people are putting their paint colors on them, putting their stickers on them, and calling them their machines. We truly design these. We have our own engineering department that engineers everything out. Research and development does all the testing on everything, make sure things are working correctly. We assemble them all here. Like I said, we test them all before they leave, so we verify that they're running correctly before they get to you. That way you're not being the person that has to test them. The other nice feature with these machines is, like I said, they're ShopSabre. You're not going to find another machine like this machine anywhere else from another company just being rebranded. This is our machine. We're very proud of this. We build them in-house. We're very, very confident that this machine will outperform anything imported, because honestly, we have looked around. I mean, it's something we have to do to verify we're not giving you something less quality. So we do look around and see what else is out there. There's not a single person in the market today that can deliver as solid of a base, as solid of a gantry, as solid of a design as what we can in-house. And if we're going to put our name on it, you better believe we're going to be American made.
Brandon, what are the benefits of the system actually being manufactured in the United States rather than being an import?
Yeah, some of the advantages you're going into are, we build them here, so we stock the parts here. If you have an issue with the machine, if something's going on with the machine, we're the people you contact. You're never going to get that. Well, you got to contact the person who built that. We're not going to send you off to contact the person that built the frame. You don't have to worry about the frame showing up and not being square, because we built it. So we test it here, and if something's not right, you're never going to receive that machine. We're going to make sure we start over and get you the right thing. The other thing is, the machines themselves being built here means that in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the parts are still available. If you wear something out, if something happens, if you're moving the machine to a new building and you break something, you don't got to worry about that part being discontinued. You don't have to worry about something no longer being in production. You don't have to worry about any of that. The machines are built here. Our very first machine's over 15 years old now, and that machine can still get parts for it. You're still able to get all parts for all of our machines because we do design all of our machines here. We stock our parts in the house, so if you're in a big production run and something happens and you need to be back up by tomorrow, we can overnight parts to you. If you're getting these machines imported from other countries, a lot of times you're going to be stuck waiting because there's no such thing as overnight from China. You're going to be taking a little bit longer to get it from there. The other thing is that when China or whatever country that you're importing from decides we're done with that model, we're going to move on to the next series or the next thing, and they're mass producing these things, suddenly the market's going to be completely saturated with what you were using, but there's going to be no parts for them. So people are going to buy them up quick, and you're going to be stuck with a machine that essentially is unable to be used. These machines themselves, they're specific to ShopSabre, so all the parts are here at our facility, but the nice thing is we're using name brands. We're using Mitsubishi motors. We're using all name brand components like HSD spindles, FPZ and Becker vacuum pumps. So you can go to their manufacturer directly if you like to get these parts. You can also come to us, but the nice thing is they are name brands. You don't get stuck searching all over trying to find something, and you don't have to worry about trying to understand what part it is or trying to find a part number or translate it between languages to try to figure out what the actual make of the component is or who to talk to about getting that component. Everything is going to be here in the United States as far as suppliers. We have suppliers for every one of these components here locally, and we can get you, all your components that you're going to need.
Brandon, that only leaves me with one real question, and that's the tech support. How is your tech support going to be supporting me if I have any questions down the road?
Yeah, tech support's very important. machine can be the greatest machine in the world. If you don't have tech support, you have a big paperweight at some point. Every machine on the market, comes with some type of support. The one benefit of these machines, they come with lifetime support. You're not going to get a set number of calls. You call us 3 times, then you got to pay. You're not going to you get 3 months, and then you got to start paying. We don't ever take a credit card from you to support this machine. We built it, we support it. For every person that buys a new machine from us, they get lifetime tech support. That lifetime tech support is transferable to the next owner if you do decide to sell the machine. So you just contact us and we can go through some of the procedures on how that would go about, what goes into transferring that. But the machines themselves with that lifetime tech support, they not only have phone support, we have staff here, we have plenty of people here to answer your questions. We also have email support, so if you have a file that we need to look at, or if you simply just have a question, you just want to email it to us, you can send it over via email. We also have PC to PC connection, so you can plug this control system right into the internet. Our guys can log in with your permission. Essentially, they'll give you a code, you give us that code, we log in. We'll be able to do online diagnostic, we can do some basic training stuff on there, we can go through, show you some tips and tricks. So all of that's included. But also, we do actually have a forum. Pretty new to this company, but we actually have developed a forum that's going to be coming out here, and that forum will be something that you can log online, talk to other ShopSabre users, get ideas. Our tech support's really done in-house, so you can talk to all of our techs for tech issues. But if you got a simple question and answer thing, you can check out online. Other users, usually help each other out, share files, stuff like that. And then with that being said, we also give training right away with the machine, so you can come to one of our courses here that we run periodically, sign up for one of them. You're more than welcome to take advantage of one of those. We also do offer on-site support as well, so if something's going on, we do have staff that are able to fly out there and help you out, which again, if you're having something more serious than that, you just contact us, we'll get that taken care of with you. But again, we've really got you covered in the support side of things. We understand that support's the #1 most important part of any machine. The machine's only as good as the staff that backs it up, and every one of our users here really believe in what they do. The nice thing is a lot of people that build these machines actually have them in their garage. Obviously, they're not putting these larger machines in their garage, but we do have many smaller models available as well that our techs and even our assembly floor guys put in their garages, so they're playing with them. So this is every day for them as far as a job, but also they take great pride in what they do because they understand this is something you're going to depend on. So we care a great deal about taking care of our customers before the sale, but also after the sale. So that way you do have somebody that you can call with your questions, concerns, without worrying about how much is this going to cost me.
Brandon, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate the information. It's helped me understand a lot more why ShopSabre CNC is one of the most popular systems in today's CNC industry. Thank you again.
You're very welcome. And again, if you have any questions that come up, or if any of you watching this have any other questions, please feel free to contact us at 1-800-493-6021, or you can check us out on the web at www.shopsabre.com.